Welcome back to The Nerve. I'm Maureen Callahan. I am your host. And before we get started today, we have some incredible news to share with you. The Nerve, over the weekend, hit 100,000 subscribers. Okay, we are only 3 weeks in and beginning our fourth, and you guys got us to this incredible milestone at like the speed of light. This is remarkable, and you guys are incredible. And I want you to know that we at The Nerve are very, very deeply keeping track of your feedback, your emails, your DMs, your responses, conversational threads on YouTube. We see you, and I saw you this weekend encouraging each other and saying, hey, you guys, let's make sure we get Maureen to 100,000. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I think we're building something really special here. I think we're building a great community here. And, you know, the only thing I can say is thank you again, and let's keep it going, because the faster we continue to grow, the faster we can get you the extra content that you guys want. So thank you. And this whole weekend, I was just dying to get back in on Tuesday to give you this loaded up. I mean, stuff was happening all weekend long, crazy stuff, wild stuff that I'm watching, and I'm saying I have to talk to you guys about it. We've got like we're going to start with like a bunch of just celebrity nonsense. And I think we're all of like minds with what's going on with, you know, a couple of delinquent royals and maybe like one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. And, you know, maybe like a couple of movie stars who really have it coming. And then we're going to talk about this weird trend that's developing among like people who would otherwise consider themselves like extremely smart because they have a lot of money. So they're smart, and what they're doing with themselves. And then we're going to talk about this self-help guru, yet another one who's out there hawking an overpriced book. And if you thought Mel Robbins was a doozy, I can best this for you, okay? I'm earning my keep with you guys, trust me. So we are going to begin our action-packed celebrity segment with a couple that you can probably guess who these people are, but I don't know that you caught everything they got up to this weekend. So we are going to begin with them in one moment. I'm going to talk for a minute about a guy named Leo Grillo. And really, he's a hero. He was on a road trip, and he came across a really, really frail, sick, weak Doberman. And, you know, Dobermans are usually very, very proud, strong animals. And this guy was really clearly in trouble. So Leo rescued that Doberman, and he named him Delta. Now, of course, Delta was and is just one of many, many animals that need our help. And that's what inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, which is the largest no-kill care for life animal sanctuary in the world. They have rescued thousands of dogs, cats, and horses from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, and a home. This dedication, this everlasting love to animals is Leo's mission and his legacy. Now, Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions from people like us, people who love animals and think that often they're better than most humans. So if you want caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner, because there are tax-saving estate planning benefits too. So why not take advantage of that while doing some real good? You can grow your estate and let your love for animals live well into the future at the same time. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and to speak with an advisor, because we call dogs man's best friends for a very good reason. Help those who need it the most by visiting deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Okay, you guys, now, we talked about this last week. So we're now in week 2 almost since that disastrous Prince Harry interview with the BBC. He lost a major court case. He sat in front of a reporter for the BBC, and he basically walked right up to alleging that the British royal family wants to kill him, Meghan, and probably his two innocent young children, but also that he would love to get back in. He would love to get back in, but he also just needs all of the security that this latest court ruling once again denied him, okay? Because he's not a working royal anymore by his own decision, okay? So the British taxpayers aren't gonna pay for this. And he's so important. So this was a humiliation. And if you go and look at that interview on YouTube, you can see, I mean, the whole demeanor, his comportment, the way he's talking, like his mouth is like even smaller than usual. He can't get the words out. He is just completely, he uses the word devastated. He says, I'm devastated. That is a man who is fully emasculated, if you ask me. Okay, so what does Meghan do? When things go wrong, like really, really wrong, like really, really, really bad, Meghan does this. She puts on this face and everything's great. Everything's great. In fact, things are better than they were before Harry's latest fuck up, okay? So she took to Instagram, where her likes and comments seem to be permanently disabled, to brag about having been at Beyonce's show the night before with that man, Harry. Remember, never forget, that man who loves me so much. So of course, now this is a carousel, right? Because we have to experience like all of her emotions and her winning, her constant winning. So she begins this post in the most banal, cliched way possible, okay? She begins this post with the following 3 words. About last night. Like everybody uses that. Like it should be like whoever runs Instagrams, you know, it's not Mark Zuckerberg, but whoever, like that should just be banned. About last night. It's not cute anymore. It's not funny, whatever. Okay. So of course she uses the most hackneyed, trite thing she can because she has not, as I've said, an original freaking thought in her head. So first, we're going to see Meghan standing at the Beyoncé show. And I think in this one, she might be wearing Harry's hat. Yeah. Okay, she's wearing, now the hat is going to come into play later. Now look at her. First of all, I want you to take this all in because every single thing is telling us something. And I want you to think about the ways in which she thinks she's showing us she and Harry are winning, but she's actually showing us that they are losing as ever. Okay, so that's that image. This is the next image. And this was also this was like the center photo on page 6 over the weekend in the Sunday paper. Look at I mean, look at the smiles, okay? They're having the best time. Next, we're gonna look at Meghan dancing at the Beyonce show because, you know, she's not just a royal in exile, she's like a cool royal in exile. So she's dancing, she's letting loose, she's letting her hair down. Oh my God, you guys, she can't dance. She can't dance. Like she's barely moving for like, it's like Taylor Swift can't dance. So like they usually make her just walk on stage, like just like she's a supermodel, like she walks over here and then she walks over there. Like Meghan is like barely, like she's like a robot. She's like dancing like a robot. Okay, then next in her carousel, we see Harry kissing Meghan on the cheek because what is he doing if he's not showing that he's constantly a supplicant? He's the help. He has to show that she is the adored one. And that's, by the way, in stark contrast to the two of them in New York City a couple of weeks ago at the Time 100 summit, where she exited their vehicle and he went to grab her hand and she just like, pff, pff, I have a stranger to hug. Get away from me, peon, you disgust me. Okay, next, Meghan with friends. Again, who are these people? Like, I don't recognize any of them from the Netflix show With Love Meghan. Like, where's Daniel, the makeup artist? Where's Mindy Kaling? Who are these no names that I don't notice? Okay, again, she's not with celebrities. Okay, I don't know who these people are. And then we're going to take a look at, okay, here is this video of Beyonce and Meghan clapping? together. Can this be right? No, they're not together. Of course not. Meghan's just having a moment. Okay, and then let's see. There's another picture of her and Harry. It's a selfie. Nobody cares. The hat is what I want to get to. The hat. So the hat she was wearing, which we are informed was Harry's. You guys look at this thing, okay? She's got stenciled inside the brim of the hat, on the underside of the brim of the hat, which would be, again, Harry's. Archie in all capital letters, like block letters. Underneath that, Lily, all block letters. And underneath that, my love. My love. Not Meghan, but, you know, hearkening to the Jamie Carlima interview that she did like 2 weeks ago, where she sighed theatrically, because there's no other kind of Meghan Markle sigh, but a theatrical sigh. That man, you know. And she's telling us he comes in after she has torn herself away from her 2 children for a moment of respite. And she goes into an adjoining room where she now misses them so much, she has to start scrolling through her phone to look at photos of them, even though they're in the next room. And Harry walks in and he says, my love, can't you just give yourself a break? So, you know, and okay, what this hat shows is not only, I think Harry's balls, I think she like weighted them down with like some concrete per The Sopranos and like threw them in a body of water and they're gone. That's it. This guy's fully emasculated. And that's her showing us the way she's got control of him and how much he adores her. And it also shows us that Meghan is not what she purports to be and so badly wants to be. She thinks she's like the cool royal, the American easy breezy California cool royal with a wellness brand or a food brand like Gwyneth. Like, she's not cool. Okay, there's zero about that hat and everything else about in that Instagram post that is cool. And, you know, I'm not saying cool is the cost of entry for everything. It's certainly not, but authenticity sure as fuck is. And you know what runs on a dual track with authenticity? Often you're cool, okay? Because you don't really give a shit. And her problem is she gives way too much of a shit, hence that post. Now, look at the caption, because she then says like, thanks to Beyoncé and team for a wonderful night. Okay, so this caption, what's not in this caption is telling us everything. Okay, first of all, look at where they're seated. They're not in a VIP box, okay? This isn't Oprah with her astronaut friend in bedazzled blue jeans, Gail, in a VIP section at Beyonce's show, okay? So she got tickets either on StubHub or someone called someone in Beyonce's camp and they were like, okay, just throw her a bone. But they're up there, okay? They're like in the midsection of this tour, which by the way is flopping all over the place. So it's not like it's a hard ticket to get, okay? Then she says, thanks to Beyonce and her team for a great night. She doesn't say, thanks to Beyonce for hooking us up. Thanks to Beyonce's team for making sure H and I, or that man and I, had everything at our fingertips and didn't want for a moment. We had a personal concierge. I had a personal bathroom. She's not saying any of that, okay? So she's trying to make it seem like she and H are like super tight with Beyonce and Jay and her, and like, think ahead, okay, Meghan? Think ahead for once. The Diddy trial is underway in New York City as we speak. I think Jay-Z, whatever, I think he's got a few concerns, okay? So maybe you don't want to be adjacent to them. Maybe you don't. Okay, so they try to put this happy face on this. But then Sunday, you guys, this still photo emerges of Harry, who has just finished whining. Okay, look at this photo. He is in London on his own. This looks like morning light to me, early morning light. A Ring camera. He's on his cell phone, and a Ring camera has caught him buzzing someone's townhouse. The trash cans in the background, there's one for recycling, it looks like, and one for trash, but they're trash cans. Again, I miss Andy Warhol deeply. This is like one of the best celebrity photo. We are just, it's an abundance of riches. So this guy who just got finished moaning to the world that he needs 24/7, like Mossad level security when he goes to the UK because he's that important, is caught wandering around a London neighborhood alone in what looks like, frankly, last night's suit, knocking on random doors. There is no security anywhere in sight, anywhere. So which is it, Harry? Now, the official line that came out, and I don't think it was like from Harry per se, but like his camp, was that he was merely looking for a friend of his and his wife who lived in that neighborhood. And that was the last known address he had for them. And so clearly, if this story is true, which I doubt, and we'll get into why, I think that the only other explanation would be like these two left no forwarding address for him. Okay. Location unknown. They're in the equivalent of the aristocracy's witness protection program from Harry and his terrible wife, Meghan. Now, I don't believe that story is true because I saw a lot of online speculation that this is behavior that, we'll say, a hard partier would exhibit. And as I disclosed once when I was on Megyn Kelly's show, like I've never done hard drugs in my life. I was maybe offered cocaine twice in my life, and I was like, I don't want it, thank you. And by the way, like friends of mine later told me it's a great thing you never tried it because you probably would have loved it because all cocaine makes you want to do is talk. And I love to talk, as you know. So I probably would have wound up in rehab like more than once. Anyway, they're saying this speculation online, which kind of tracks to me, is that like he had a long, long night with people who were kind of party buddies who he didn't really know well, but for the purposes of that evening, they had a lot of commonalities. And then he woke up somewhere and wasn't quite sure where he was, but he left something behind. It obviously wasn't his cell phone because he's on it, but he left something behind. But so why not just call Meghan? Because he can't, because he's fucked up yet again. So he can't call Meghan, can't call his daddy, can't call his brother or his sister-in-law. He can't really call any friends because he doesn't know where the fuck they are because they've all exited stage left years ago. I wonder who he really is trying to call. Anyway, so he left something behind and, you know, his dignity is the least of it. Now, I would like to get to another news dump. They call it like a Friday news dump when an outlet, a politician, a movie star announces something they hope will get buried as everybody just turns to their weekend and goes about their lives, as we should. But this one really affected me deeply, and I'm actually not being sarcastic because I am a deep, deep, deep abiding fan of the original Real Housewives of New York City, which has given us so much over the years. But on Friday, Bravo announced that they are canceling what we fans call Roni. Now, the last 2 to 3 seasons, it was the reboot. It was only 2 seasons, no great loss. Of course they should have canceled it. It was terrible. They remade it. They fired the original cast. Huge mistake, in my opinion. After George Floyd was murdered and everything was seen through a different lens, and you know they brought in a black housewife who's like was taking them up to Harlem and giving them lessons in African American history. That is not the show, okay? That is not the show. So they tried to reboot it with like all these very stiff women who were not part of the same social circle. There were no stakes, like high stakes, and these are, you know, things we're revisiting on this show. Is like actual friendship breakups are high stakes. And these women, the OGs of Roni, were all real friends before they ever started shooting. Like they'd known each other for decades. So when cameras get involved and stardom gets involved and money gets involved and friendships begin to fracture and marriages begin to fracture, like now we're talking, like this is real conflict. So I would like to pay tribute, if I may, to, and again, she wound up in Sunday's New York Post, as she should. She is a true star, one Countess Luann de Lesseps. This woman is a legend. We were introduced to her, lo, those many years ago. She was a nurse or a nurse practitioner from Connecticut who had happened to marry like a minor royal. I mean, these titles at this point, they're like honorary titles. They don't really mean anything. He was a count. I don't even remember what country he's from. But so she went by the Countess on like the Upper East Side and like out in the Hamptons. It was like, you couldn't call her Luann. She was the Countess. Okay. You know, by season 3, the Count has left her for a younger woman. It's all over page 6. They've got to sell the house in the Hamptons. She has what she calls an estate sale. That's what wealthy people call it. It's a tag sale. Okay. She was getting rid of her stuff. She needed the money. She had to move in with another Real Housewife, but she has given us so much over the years. Okay. Now, post her divorce, she was dating around, and like, as she should, like she had no shame. She was like sex positive before that was even a thing in the culture. So watch Luann just expertly defang these 2 other uptight, much younger housewives, because they're all on vacation. And Luann went out after they went home, got drunk, picked up a guy, brought him home. And these other 2 are like, how dare you party on vacation? Watch this.
So be cool. Don't be all like uncool.
Okay, right there, a meme. A meme was born, a star was born. Okay, next, again, I love Luann for this. You know, alcohol takes many a housewife down. And Luann will have her struggles after, you know, in the years after this moment. But when I saw this, I thought, you know, when you first are becoming friends with people or you're dating somebody and like they have one too many, like that is like the moment where you know you're in or you're out, because like there are 2 kinds of drunks in the world, happy drunks and mean drunks. And that is when the true person comes out. Okay. Luann, I am happy to report, was a happy drunk. Watch this.
Oh my God, Luann, are you okay? You fell in the bushes?
Luann has drunkenly fallen in the bushes, and she looks like a freaking supermodel doing it, okay? Goals. Okay, next. So then Luann goes on to marry this guy named Tom, who has been spotted by every housewife and every friend of a housewife out in the wilds of upper New York City, most usually at the Regency Bar in Manhattan, making out with women who are not his fiance, Luann, but she goes ahead with the marriage. Then the marriage falls apart like within a year. She's humiliated. She begins drinking to cope. She gets arrested. It's epic. I can only tell you, go back and watch, like treat yourself. Okay, so here she is, having been humiliated on a global scale, coming back to the show.
I've been traveling, I've been to prison, and I just want to be close to home.
I've been traveling, I've been to prison, I just want to be close to home. You know, that was the best thing that ever happened to her, because she rebirthed herself as a legit cabaret star. And if you want a lesson, you know, Meghan Markle could take a lesson in like getting back up after you have fallen down repeatedly in public. Take a lesson, okay? Get some humility. It'll never happen. But like, I would just like to say, Luann, we love you still. And I maintain hope that Bravo figures out a way to bring back a lot of those originals, because they are unparalleled. Okay. Next, I want to go to this thing that's been leaking in the news so Kelly Clarkson is apparently done with her talk show. It's too grueling. She doesn't want to do it anymore. Fine. Now there are all these leaks that like, who's going to get the job? Hoda Kotb, who recently flounced out of the Today Show, 4th Hour with Jenna, cushiest job on television, except you got to talk to Jenna, which is like pulling teeth because she's not that bright. But, you know, they gave Hoda like a month-long farewell, and like that, like, I kind of feel like that's kind of a fuck you, because like you build that person up to basically you're saying to them, no one can replace you, Hoda. Well, guess what? Anybody can replace Hoda. Like, and they did, they replaced her. So now she's stuck like up in Westchester or somewhere, like taking her kids to school, and like, it's boring. It's boring. She's in her 60s. So I think these leaks are coming from Camp Hoda, who has nothing to say except stuff like, again, with Jamie Kern Lima, like, I'm on a different cosmic plane with Jamie Kern Lima. That's all she talked about. Her podcast is called Making Space. Okay, so you know it's just like intellectually vapid and totally void. And who's gonna hire Hoda for this time slot? She's a good 20 years older than Kelly Clarkson. She can't have like any kind of conversation that's beyond like woo-woo, self-affirming bullshit. I don't see it happening. Now, Taylor Swift has been dragged into this Blake Lively lawsuit, and she got word last week that she is going to be subpoenaed by Justin Baldoni, who Blake Lively, her former best friend, and Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds, are trying to take down. Okay, they are trying to take this guy down. And guess what his legal team does? They're like, well, fuck you. We're subpoenaing Taylor Swift. So Taylor Swift's lawyers issued like a very lengthy statement, and I will spare you the legalese. I'll just get to the Taylor part of it, which is the 13-year-old mean girl part of it, which is like, I'm so betrayed. I'm so betrayed by Blake Lively. I'm like devastated. I can't believe she would do this to me. I had nothing to do with this. I'm completely floored. Her words, I've been exploited. Oh my God. Okay. So then Taylor and her rumored fiance, Travis Kelce, were spotted and photographed out at a Mother's Day lunch for Travis's mom. And when I tell you, like, people like Taylor Swift get photographed when they want to be photographed, okay? And when people like Taylor Swift want to go out and have a meal in complete privacy, they have people, and it's not even just like an assistant, it's like a chief of fucking staff who calls like the restaurant and says, so-and-so's coming in, we need a private room, and like if she wants to be shot, she's going to be shot by paparazzi. Otherwise, we need a back entrance, et cetera, et cetera. So when she's shot out like with regular people at like a regular mid-priced American suburban restaurant, that is a message that she is sending, which is like, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. Now, I just want to get to one other thing vis-a-vis Taylor, because, you know, Taylor Swift, you don't get to be this famous this long, mount the most successful, profitable, global musical tour in history, without gunning for it big time. Okay. So I have dug out for you guys this email that her father, Scott, wrote. Okay. It's 20 years old. So she's 35 now. So she was around 15 years old when Scott Swift wrote this lengthy email, and you can go look it up. It's part of a legitimate lawsuit that was brought against them by Taylor's former manager, a guy named Daniel, I don't think I'm pronounced Dimtro, D-Y-M. Anyway, this email is like for days. I'm dying. Okay, so he starts out, Dan, bear with me. I need to vent. Okay. Now he starts by saying, we are getting to a very important time in Taylor's career. And to keep in mind, quote, I am not quite the idiot that Andrea portrays me to be. Andrea is Taylor's mom, Scott's now ex-wife. Now he says, my clients do not want to hear how much stress I am under or what I have done or how much time I have spent copying videotapes and sending them out when Taylor was 11. Okay, these people were hustling. He says, Taylor will define your life's work. Okay. He goes on to say, now he's a financial advisor and he's bragging a lot about the money he makes for people and why like he needs to be taken seriously because he makes a lot of money for a lot of people. Who has made every single client listen to Taylor's latest song before we went over their financial plans? Are you kidding me? If my financial planner says, hey, you got to listen to my kid's demo tape before we can like address your very real concern, like I'm like parachuting out of there immediately. Okay, now we're getting into the martyrdom part of this email. Okay, now keep in mind that remember when it was rumored that the Olsen twins there was like a third Olsen who like the Olsen parents kept in the basement because they were like malformed or something. And you know, it wasn't true, but Taylor has a brother named Austin, and we never hear about Austin and we never see Austin. And I kind of think this may be Austin's choice, or he just got the message from his parents and Taylor that like he's a total afterthought. And if Taylor needs an organ someday, they'll call you back into this picture, but otherwise you can stay away. Okay, this is Scott. Who gets to go to New York, New England, and every cool appearance? Not Dad. Can't fix hair. Dad talks too much. Who pays for trips to New York? Dad. Who makes sure and takes days off to make sure that whether it was Radio Disney, Brits Camp, I'm guessing that's Britney Spears, or any event that we had stuff to give away, CDs, Frisbees, headshots, who even thought to put that stuff together? Who blew up 500 beach balls on the roof for Radio Disney? This sounds like hell. Dad, quote, it's Britney. We are going to Britney's camp, but you and Austin can't come. That sounds like he's putting those words in the mouth of his ex-wife, Andrea. We are going to Britney's camp, but you and Austin can't come. Okay, this email is unbelievable. Who gets to babysit Austin? I guess that's Scott. Scott's got to sit with the ringer of these two kids, not the star. Who at the last minute has to find some place to print CDs? You got it, Dad. Who funds the whole process but does not get to come to the dance? Dad. Oh my effing God. He says further, as a financial planner, is it fair to Austin that Taylor is taking her half of the estate now? Probably not, but no problem, because everybody in the Swift family is involved in making Taylor Swift fucking happen, okay? So just remember that as this case goes forth and Taylor Swift puts on her best awards face, getting her 8 millionth Grammy, going, who, me? Who, me? I got a subpoena, who, me? Okay, remember, she's a mean girl, Blake's a mean girl, just my opinion. And if I may quote another legendary New York City housewife, and just a warning to Scott or any member of the Swift family in the future, in the words of New York legend Dorinda Medley, say it, forget it, write it, regret it. That is advice that I would take any day of the week. We will be right back. Now more than ever, it's really important to shop with brands and buy from companies that align with your values. And that's why I want to talk to you today about Nimi Skincare. That's Nimi, but it's pronounced Nimi. Now, this skincare line is built on the principles of faith, family, and freedom. And they are proudly pro-America in everything they do. Okay, you're not going to find a keffiyeh in the packaging. Their products are made right here in the USA, and they don't shy away from what they believe. So while most skincare brands are busy pushing progressive messaging, Nimi took a stand, and women across the country noticed. So after going viral for rejecting woke marketing, Nimi became a rallying point for those of us who've had enough, okay? Thousands of women said, finally, skincare that also reflects what I believe. And as for the products, I mean, they're incredible. You know, you get these gentle cleansers to these age-defying creams, and Nimi offers clean, fragrance-free formulas that are safe for sensitive skin, but powerful enough to deliver real results. So right now, you can get 10% off your order at nimiskincare.com. Just use the code THENERVE at checkout. That's nimiskincare.com. So if you, like me, are tired of giving your money to companies that don't respect your values, just make the switch. Support American made and choose skincare that is on track with who you are. So choose Nimi Skincare, where modern skincare meets timeless values. Welcome back to The Nerve. I just want to circle back for one quick moment because I meant to tell you guys something about Hoda Kotb, who, you know, makes her whole persona is like, I'm like your best friend, okay? And like, I want to talk to you about like intentionality and getting some of that in your life. I fucking hate that word. What is that word? Just like, think out what you want to do and do it. Okay, intentionality, finding joy, making space, being your most authentic self. Okay, so I have a friend, a very good friend, who often works at 30 Rock, is up there all the time at various shows, Today Show, SNL, whatever. He's up there all the time. And long time ago, told me that of all the people up there, Hoda's a big bitch, okay? She sees my friend constantly and just blanks my friend, okay? And just, it costs one nothing to nod and smile and say a friendly hello to people that you encounter in a workspace, okay? And it actually makes for a really nice workspace because then like everybody feels good about themselves as they should. Okay, so you know, it goes right to the self-help thing we're going to tackle later in the show. It's like, beware of people who talk like that because they're typically the exact opposite. I mean, when I see someone who's got like a Buddha in their yard, I run, okay? It's like yoga teachers, they're all screwed up. Hilaria Baldwin, Exhibit A. You know, they say shrinks are like the people you would never want to be related to because like they're really the most screwed up. There's truth to that. Okay, so moving on. I came across this story in the Wall Street Journal the other day, and I thought to myself, like, there's a lot of talk about will there be a civil war? Like, will red America split apart from like blue America? But like, really, it's going to come down to the ultra wealthy continuing to shove their lifestyle and their copious amounts of disposable income in our faces. Okay, so I came across this new trend that is being done without irony, with a lot of seriousness. It's called fridge-scaping. What is fridge-scaping, you ask? Fridge-scaping involves you, or really your help, okay, the people who do your shopping, going to like the gourmet, grocery store where like, 4 sticks of butter, not that you eat butter because like poor people eat butter, like fat people eat butter, but like that costs like $35, but you're also paying for the packaging because the packaging is so beautiful. And then all of it comes home and then the refrigerator gets art directed, okay? So that you can impress who, I don't know, but I will say again, not to make everything about the Real Housewives, but the patient zero of this trend, in my estimation, is Yolanda Hadid, former Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, mother of supermodels Gigi and Bella, who debuted on her show. Now, typically the flex for these women to show how wealthy they are, how wealthy their husbands are, is to walk into a scene with like Birkin bags are obscenely expensive. They're like $100,000. And, you walk in with one and you're basically saying like you're swinging your husband's big dick around. Yolanda outdid them all because she introduced, it was like a character, it was like a friend of her, all glass refrigerator, all glass, floor to ceiling, that was artfully arrayed with like produce. It looks like there's like maybe champagne in there and it's spotless and there's not even a fingerprint on it. Okay, that's how you know real wealth, okay? And of course it didn't work. It doesn't refrigerate anything. Like I think there's a refrigerator behind that. But that to me, I thought, okay, we've broken a sound barrier here. So now there are these, you've got to see these pictures from this journal article. I'm not even going to name the people who own these refrigerators because I think that they're scourges of society. Normally I'd name and shame, but I can't. So look at this fridge. Is the theme, the owner tells the journal, is the Great Gatsby fridge. And if you notice, they have moved in an Art Deco lamp. Okay, so it looks like it's wireless. So I guess they had it rewired or redone as like a battery operated lamp. And then next to that, it looks like this giant, like, what are those things that you like put perfume in that like, I forget what they're called. When I was little, I was really obsessed with them, but it looks like that, but it also looks like body lotion. It's like, it's basically, let's jam everything into our refrigerator that has nothing to do with actual food or actual eating. Like we're just going to show how rich we are. It's going to be like a little playground. And by the way, if you really want to go whole hog with this thing, you need to have like a Sub-Zero fridge. Okay. Like the Sub-Zero fridges that have like the glass panel, like the kind that Nancy Pelosi showed all of us during lockdown, which she thought made her relatable, her like retrieving her like gallon of ice cream or her pint of ice cream from her Sub-Zero fridge. And everybody was like, hey lady, you're talking to us from like a kitchen that houses a $20,000 refrigerator, okay? Like fuck off. So the next one is this owner has done a Pee-wee's Playhouse inspired fridge. Okay, look at this, you guys. Now, there's a Santa Claus in there. Every item of food, like some of it you can't tell if it's food or not. Like one looks like a Mrs. Potato Head. Like some of it's bedazzled. There's like a bedazzled banana in there. And there are, again, googly eyes all over the place. Like if I live on this person's block and I've got small children, they're going nowhere near this house, nowhere near it. Okay. Now, moving on. In a similar vein, I've been dying to talk to you guys about this, and I think we can do this as a recurring segment if you like it as much as I do. One of my favorite hate reads over the weekend is to go into the New York Times, the magazine, the style section, even the work section. They have like no shortage of advice columns, and everybody who's writing these advice columns, they're terrible at their job because A, they are fucking earnest. They are all woke and they are stupid, okay? And so are the questions. So this one recently in The Ethicist in the New York Times Magazine. My husband and I are Democrats. Shocked you're writing into the New York Times for advice. Okay, we live in a large left-leaning city. Shocked, okay, the New York Times demographic. Considering the current political climate in the United States and deepening concerns that it will only get worse, Code for Trump is destroying democracy and it's going to be a Last of Us scenario. My husband wants to purchase a gun for safety reasons. I think guns are evil. Should I go against my own beliefs? Now, this reminds me of, I was listening to this podcast a few months ago, and it's hosted by these two women, and one's in New York and one's on the West Coast in LA. And the one in LA says, oh my God, I got spanked by my husband for a recent show, and I can't talk about this anymore because I mentioned that he wants to get a gun, because apparently the neighborhood in which they live, gangs were closing in. They were encroaching on this neighborhood. Violent gang activity was encroaching on this neighborhood. And the husband said, I want to get a gun. And she talked about it on the podcast and all of her reasons for not wanting to get a gun. And she said her husband spanked her. Not for talking about that, but wait for it. Because they are a white couple. They have white privilege and they can't talk about gangs or gang violence or the kind of gang violence that is making them feel so unsafe in their home. And they have a child that the husband wants to get a gun. So she can't talk about that because, you know, you have to be Black or a minority to talk about gangs and gang violence, which isn't that also racist? Like, are you saying only Blacks and minorities belong to gangs? Okay. Anyway, this piece of advice is, you know, for shit. It's like, he says, even if there is like an apocalyptic scenario floating in your heads where like bad guys roam a collapsed society, even then, I doubt that a firearm would help. Like, I think a firearm would help. Okay. Another question. I see many older Northern Europeans retiring to countries like Portugal or Mexico. Is it fair to enjoy? Oh my God, you guys. Is it fair to enjoy a different country's sun? It's all of our sun. Okay, we all enjoy the sun. It's one planet. A different country's sun and cheaper living in retirement, or is this a new sweet form of colonialism? I died. Another question, this one in the styles section. My friend travels to exotic places and she's proud of it. But when she works her travels into group texts, it sounds as if she is gloating. On a group text about a proposed lunch date, she replied that she would be at the North Pole then. I once had a roommate who left a voicemail that our entire friend group mocked for weeks. Her outgoing voicemail, this was before cell phones, was, I'm in Asia for the next 3 weeks. We were all like, okay, fine, you're a fucking asshole. Okay. She replied she would be at the North Pole then. Can I stop her before she alienates people? Trust me, she's alienated a lot of people. She's clearly alienated you. And yeah, just tell her she sounds like an asshole. And you know, if she wants to like remain a productive member of polite society and get invitations to lunch, maybe just cool it on the humble brags. Okay. Write to me for advice. I could give it to you straight. Okay. And by the way, I think all of those questions are real, but I'm going to bring you some more that are like, often a lot of these outlets make up these questions. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. Okay, now on Friday's show, I'm very excited for this. I'm getting the book tomorrow, and we're gonna dive into a very scandalous new showbiz memoir that's making all kinds of headlines. And to my mind, everyone who's writing these headlines is a dope because these headlines are exactly what this person wants. Okay, this quote unquote author, I'm sure this person had a ghostwriter, I think has cleverly moved everybody in the media's eyes over here, and they should be over here. And that's what we're going to talk about. Okay. This is one of the most famous, powerful, ultra wealthy titans of tech and show business. So this is going to be good. And we're also going to explore, which I have been waiting for, finally, the fallout. So Bruce Willis, you know, he's battling something called aphasia. It's a form of dementia. And as somebody who has firsthand experience with a parent who has dementia, this is one of the cruelest ways to go because it robs you of your dignity, and that you cannot buy that. There's no getting that back once a disease like this begins to steal your soul, basically. Okay, so Bruce Willis's second, much younger wife, Emma, has written a memoir all about this, and she's couching it as like, a memoir about, the caregivers and the loved ones. But, trust me, we're going to get into that. It's not about that. It's about her. It's about her. So we'll get into that. Okay. And I have also 2 happy little updates for all my nerve troublemakers. Okay. After we covered Maria Shriver's memoir, and I'm not going to say there's a causal effect. I'd love to think so, but who knows? Her book dropped off the New York Times bestseller list. Sorry, in my excitement, I hit the microphone. I mean, it just plummeted off. So yes, okay, yes, I think we're having a little bit of an effect on the culture. And as for Hilaria's book, I know you probably all saw that Instagram thing she posted, that demented Instagram thing where she's crossing the street in broad daylight in New York City, and she's wearing a tight little nightclub dress, and she's really stiffly holding her book the wrong way. Her arm looks like it's been been dislocated, and but here's the book cover, okay? And so that was hilarious. But I stopped in my local bookstore on the East End of Long Island, which I love. It's this little place called Bookhampton. It's really sweet. And their whole thing is they are aggressive when it comes to promoting local authors. It doesn't matter if you're rich and famous. It doesn't matter if you have no money and your book was published by a tiny little imprint. They will promote you and put you front and center in the store, and they're great. But now Hilaria and Alec, this is also their bookstore, okay? Because they live in Amagansett. This store is on Main Street in East Hampton, and I walked in on Sunday, and to my great surprise, but also just real happiness, her book was on the bottom shelf, the bottom shelf. It wasn't in your eye line. It wasn't on the top of the shelves. It wasn't, they did everything except really just put it in the back with all the remainders. They have to do it. But, and this is a real humiliation for her. Don't think it's not, because this is where Bill Clinton goes to shop in the summer. Okay. And I think Bill's a pig and all of that, but he's Bill Clinton, and he reads and he writes books, and he shops in there. And that's what those people think of Hilaria. Okay. That's what they think of Alec too. This is my next gentle reminder. I know you guys don't need it because you do email me, and I love it. And I'm trying to respond to every single one. And if I can't, please know, I'm reading them and I am appreciating them. And you guys are the freaking best, because the only criticism I'm getting is over my eye makeup, which, we're experimenting. Okay. But I hear you. So specifically, I would love to hear more of your stories about mean girl experiences. They can be contemporaneous, and I can use that word with you guys because you're freaking smart, or they can be from your childhood and still scarring you. But we're going to keep talking about this and how to deal with specific conflicts, and you're not going to get a New York Times answer. And I also want to ask you guys for emails telling me about experiences you've had with difficult mothers. And again, this can be a mom experience that is from your childhood, or your mother could still be living and driving you fucking insane right now. But I'm planning a nice, really meaty segment on difficult moms, and a very specific kind that I think is way more common than we all know. Also, mini nerve suggestions, okay? You guys are loving the mini nerve. We're loving doing it for you. So just shoot those to me, DM me, YouTube, whatever. And please and subscribe and keep this show growing so that we can grow for you. That's all we want to do. And we will be reading more audience emails on Friday's show. So that's going to be super fun. Okay, next up, we're getting into the latest self-help snake oil hustler who's out there in the public square asking for your time, your money, and, basically asking to ruin your life. We'll be back in one moment. So we all know that the secret to great, great days is better nights. And that all starts by turning your bedroom into a sanctuary with Cozy Earth. Now, their bamboo sheet set is beyond special, okay? This is the softest, the coolest, the most luxurious sheets you will ever own. These sheets are breathable, they are temperature regulating, and they are crafted to help you sleep like it actually matters, because it matters, okay? It affects everything from the next day to your overall health. So imagine crawling into bed every night and waking up feeling restored, refreshed, and ready to take on the day. Also, don't forget about their bamboo pajamas, which are lightweight yet cozy and designed to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. I mean, this is the sleepwear upgrade you didn't know you needed. I didn't know I needed it, but we all deserve it. So Cozy Earth makes it easy to try. You get 100 nights risk-free, 100 nights risk-free to fall in love with this stuff. Plus, every bedding product is backed by a 10-year warranty. So take the time to prioritize your sleep and prioritize yourself. Visit cozyearth.com and start sleeping better with Cozy Earth today. That's cozyearth.com. All right, let's do this, okay? So there is another self-help guru out there. Her name is Glennon Doyle. The name, if you're not super familiar, she probably does ring a bell because Oprah helped midwife this woman into America's living rooms and bookstores, okay? I think when Oprah dies, she may not be meeting the maker she thinks she's going to make, okay? She's done a lot of bad stuff, and this is one of them. So this new book is called We Can Do Hard Things, and I ordered it, okay? I got it, and I can already tell when I opened the box, the Amazon box, I had to get it on Amazon. I was like, I can tell this book is crap because it looks like a workbook, okay? And the title is called We Can Do Hard Things, and there are 3 authors. Okay, I thought Glennon Doyle was a master of self-help. We Can Do Hard Things. Apparently she can't. She needs 2 other writers. And by the way, those writers are her wife, Abby, we're gonna get into that, and her sister, Amanda. And by the way, like this book, it's not even like a written book. Okay, so it costs, I think, $34 in the US. It's $45 in Canada. Okay. Now you open this book and even the paper stock feels cheap. I'm like a real fiend about paper stock. My dad delivered paper for a living. It's a weird thing. But anyway, and you look at the people. So there are a list of names arranged in like a very fake artsy way. And these are the names of the people whose previous thoughts and utterances they have repurposed, i.e. copied for this book. Okay, I'll give you a quick list. Former First Lady Michelle Obama. Okay, which I mean, we're all watching her meltdown in real time. Who's taking advice from this woman? The waffles and emoji alum, as the New York Post called her, Michelle Obama. Okay, Bazoma St. John. Okay, another Real Housewife who just joined Beverly Hills this year and who apparently has been turfed out of C-suites all over America and gives a bunch of self-help talks for a lot of money. And from what I saw, she's talking a bunch of garbage, okay? Former Vice President Kamala Harris, queen of garbage word salad. Gabrielle Union, who made the most headlines of her life 7 years ago, I am not exaggerating, you can go look it up, for revealing that she enjoys a sexual practice with her husband, the NBA star Dwayne Wade, who I believe was caught cheating on her before they were married and maybe had a baby with that woman, but Gabrielle still went in on it. She talked about some horseplay she likes to get up to in the bum area. Okay, I will spare you. It was truly disgusting. I can't believe she recovered from it. Melissa McCarthy, Dan Levy, why am I taking advice from these people? Okay, now here is Glennon's origin story. I'm going to give you the thumbnail sketch just so you know where I'm coming from with this. She began years and years ago with a blog called Momastery, okay, a play on monastery. So you know exactly how she feels about being a mother, right? Okay. Now, I went to go revisit this because I actually went to visit it, okay? Revisit implies I had read it. I had never read it before. Now, this thing is gone, okay? Mysteriously, it's been scrubbed from the internet. But in her momastery incarnation, Glennon was a self-identified Christian wife and mother raising 3 children. Now, off of that blog, she got a book deal, and that book was called Carry On Warrior. You know, it's kind of a humble title, okay? Look at this, it's ridiculous. Okay, so that book was all about faith and the importance of being authentic. I mean, authenticity, again, discussed and dismissed. Okay, so I'm sure you can guess where this is gonna go, right? In 2016, Glennon publishes another memoir. Again, we're like in midlife, maybe. Okay, that's a short life. These are a lot of memoirs to be coming out. Okay, like you better be living the kind of life of, like, frankly, a Gayle King. Okay, you're an astronaut, you're whatever. So this book is called Love Warrior. And the heart is on fire, and it's like 3/4 empty. So this cover art is hardly subtle. And we have the Oprah imprimatur, the literal stamp of approval on that cover. Okay, this book is all about Glennon leaving her husband. And she left her husband for a woman. And not just any woman, but a soccer star named Abby Wambach, who then leaves her partner to be with Glennon. I mean, do I have the chronology 100% straight? Whatever. They were both with other people, and they both left those partners to be together. So of course, Oprah picks this bullshit for her book club. Now, per Amazon, Love Warrior is, quote, the journey of Glennon's self-discovery after the implosion of her marriage. The implosion of her marriage, this woman, again, passive language, okay? Watch out for people who employ passive language and always make themselves the victims. Okay, these are the red flags of a textbook narcissist. Not saying Glennon is, I'm just saying, okay? So Abby and Glennon met on one of Glennon's book tour stops, where I guess she speaks and gives these like garbage speeches, my opinion, about how to actualize yourself. Okay, now Glennon Doyle, per her own self-disclosures, has battled the following. Settle in, it's a list. Bulimia, drugs, depression, anorexia, alcoholism, and as a teenager, spent time in a mental hospital. Now, I judge none of that, okay? We all have our struggles in life. I judge none of it. I do, however, judge her for telling us that she can judge our problems and fix them, and she's gonna do it for profit. She's gonna do it to line her pockets, okay? In 2016, she had 7 million people following her blog and social media posts. You know what that equals? That equals Glennon and Abby now living in a $6.5 million house in Hermosa Beach, California, as per last reports. Now, it gets better because we have an audio-visual component, which I love, because you can never lie your way out of audio or video. And that may come back to bite me someday, but hopefully not. Okay, we're a non-safe space. So let's take a look at Glennon and Abby's appearance on one of them. I don't understand this podcast. Is it my generation? No, but do I like to think I keep an open mind and I'm really judging things on like quality and quantity and not like generational differences? I do, okay? Call Her Daddy eludes me. Everything about it eludes me, okay? Alex Cooper is the host of this show. We're mainly talking about relationships and sex, fine, but Alex presents like, again, like kind of a Beetlejuice, shrunken head, like she's always in an oversized hoodie, and her hands are like always like inside the hoodie sleeves like this. Like I'm like I kind of need like my security blanket, like I'm a baby. And then her manicured hands are always out like this. And she's always just kind of like in a baseball cap, and she's talking to her daddy gang, and she's giving all, like every time before she interviews somebody, it's like, oh my God, I bow down to you. Like, but there are never any specifics about like why Alex admires any given guest on her show so much. None. Okay. So anyway, Glennon shares a recurring character already. She shares an insufferable trait with our friend and fellow podcaster, Jamie Kern-Lima. She's got the baby voice. Again, like I'm not taking advice from a grown woman who talks like this. I refuse, okay? Now, of course, Glennon and Abby have a bunch, not one, which would be like statistically in the realm of like what goes on in life, okay? What we know of what composes the population. No, they've got a bunch of quote unquote queer kids, as Abby told Daddy, host Alex Cooper. Okay, so anyway, let's look at this first exchange on of Glennon and Abby on Call Her Daddy.
It's weird because at the time she was going on her book, she was about to go on like the whole giant book tour. Oprah just picked it for a book club pick as like the marriage redemption story.
That's how it was being sold all over the place.
Okay, I've got two things. I've got multiple things, but two, okay? Abby, like so many people today, says all of the sudden. Okay, it's all of a sudden. Okay, I want this corrected in the lexicon post haste. I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened, but I hear it all the time and it drives the inner grammarian in me nuts. Okay, secondly, Glennon sits there and says, after Abby talks about the book being about the implosion of her marriage and how to heal from that, Glennon with her hand over, again, sign of a liar, hand over the mouth, hand over the mouth. That's how it was being sold all over the place. As again, I say this just so you guys know I'm legit with this. I write books, okay? I write books for big publishers. And when they're getting ready to release your book, like 6 months prior, you are having meetings with editors, with sales and marketing, with publicity, and they're talking about how they're selling your book. And you know how they're talking about selling your book? Based on the contents of said book. So Glennon's out there saying, oh my God, I wouldn't have sold it that way. That's how they sold it. That's how they sold it. That's not what that was like. That's a lie, okay? That is a lie. A lie. Okay, next, Abby gives us a very interesting piece of information. She says, so Glennon obviously left her husband for Abby. And Abby says that she has a pattern of falling for straight women who get with her for a while, and then they inevitably go back to being straight, okay? I don't think this is gonna work out well for Abby, okay? So let's listen to Glennon talk about how she came to leave her husband and decide to go with Abby.
Well, first I went to a therapist. I sat down with my therapist and told her the whole thing. I said, I think I'm in love with this woman. She had been with me through the marriage. I said, I cannot have sex with my husband again. Like something about my body, like we hadn't even been in the same room together besides that, but I just couldn't do it. And she said, I understand what you're saying about not being able to have sex with him anymore. Have you considered just giving blowjobs? Because many women find that to be less intimate. My therapist said that to me. And Alex, that was the moment. I was like, as God is my witness, I will never give a blowjob again.
Okay, so this woman who is positing herself as a self-help guru, okay, the women of America especially should take advice from her for a price, has a therapist this shitty, okay? She's a therapist this shitty. And she's in far enough with this therapist talking about one of the most consequential decisions anyone could ever make, whether to stay in a marriage or leave it. And that's the advice. I mean, that therapist should go work for the fucking New York Times, okay? Now, I also realized while that was playing, I had a little like smudge on my cheek. I hope you guys didn't see that the whole time. I'm very embarrassed, but I got rid of it. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the advice in this piece of shit book. Okay. Now in the intro, she tells us, the three of them, I'm sorry, it's Glennon, it's Abby, it's Amanda, that two things they have gleaned, nay divined from writing books, speaking to people, doing podcasts, and emailing each other, and also conducting late night frantic texts. Like, again, how emotionally stable are you if you are a middle-aged woman and you're constantly exchanging frantic late night texts with people? Okay, two things become thrillingly clear. One, we are not alone. Okay, what? Okay. Two, we do not have to stay lost. There are answers. Okay. I fail to see what unique, insightful wisdom you have to impart to the rest of us. And that podcast, that Call Your Daddy appearance, by the way, it was front to back, like teenage garbage like that. Like there was no discussion of the book, what's in the book, or the advice that's being offered. And I think I know why, because there's like nothing in here. There's literally like nothing in here. I'm looking at another thing I flagged. Okay, again, like a lot of this, but look at this. Like they're just taking up pages by like using a lot of white space and different size fonts. And they're like rewriting other people's like this is a Martha Beck quote. I don't know who Martha Beck is, but this is her quote. And there's like a huge heart in the middle of this. Again, like this is like a journal that like a fourth grader would keep. allow your longing. So like allow yourself to long for stuff. Like, okay, like the only real map of our lives is in our yearning. Oh, this is one of my favorite phrases too of the modern age. You can sit in it. You can sit in it. Instead of just like thinking about something and letting it like roll around in your head, like no, now we're sitting in it, okay? We're holding space, we're standing in our truth, and we're sitting in it. In this book, I am sitting in a bunch of bullshit, okay? I am sitting in a bunch of bullshit. How will I know what to do? Not through Glennon fucking Doyle. Here's another piece of wisdom. She quotes herself. That's how you know you're in the presence of a real narcissist. Just my opinion. You're quoting yourself. Your body is not your masterpiece. Your life is. I guess this goes to her body dysmorphia or whatever. And then she finishes up, she talks about like getting into painting, I guess, as a way to get out of her head. And then the profundity at the bottom of this is, I just want to paint. I want to burn this book. I won't burn books because I revere books too much, but I want to burn this thing. This thing is a piece of garbage, okay? I want the nerve and this entire community to do our best to eradicate these frauds who have zero expertise. They have zero credentials in psychology, psychiatry, or human behavior, and who often have very, very problematic, contradictory backstories while telling us that they are the most authentic people around. They are not, okay? They are in my opinion, they are the exact opposite, and they know nothing more than you or I do. And in fact, I'm pretty confident in saying that you and I know a hell of a lot more, okay? Now, this is a new segment, one that we're going to call Last Effing Nerve, okay? Last Effing Nerve, and we have to revisit this guy again. I'm sorry, because he's in our faces yet again. This weekend, Walt Goggins, okay? This guy, this insufferable guy, hosted SNL, okay? And we all had to go on this, again, journey with him. Let's look at his intro on SNL this weekend.
My character in White Lotus is pretty brooding, which the internet seemed to find attractive. Some of my friends have even asked me, Walton, what's it like to become a sex symbol at 53 years old? And you know what? If I'm being honest, it feels fantastic. It did until I Googled myself and read some of the headlines. Take a look. Are we all horny? Are we all horny for Walton Goggins' receding hairline? I've had the same hairline since I was 7. It's not receding, it's holding its ground.
So I guess he's proving he can laugh at himself, even though he really, really brutally made fun of his co-star and alleged former fling, Amy Lou Wood, for her teeth. I mean, Amy Lou Wood didn't find that funny. She cried in public about it, and he doubled down. So I have no use for this guy whatsoever. Okay, now on his co-star Michelle Monaghan, his co-star in The White Lotus, she posted a carousel on Insta, I think Monday morning, because she went to the show and she went to the after party, and this is what he's doing in her iPhone camera.
Yes.
You know, this is a guy, like, that is literally the metaphor for where Walton Goggins is right now. There's a camera anywhere. He's going to shove his fucking face in front of it, get really close, and overdo it like a theater kid on Ritalin, okay? It is time to please leave. Just get out of our faces for one hot minute. I don't like this guy. Lastly, vis-a-vis Walton Goggins, I would just like to display this little page out of Us Weekly, the most recent Us Weekly, the loose talk segment where they just use a quote from a celebrity. And they asked for his response on whether people are ever starstruck by him. And Walt replied, "Fuck yes, I'm Walton Goggins." Something tells me he's not kidding. Anyway, that is it for today. And hopefully that is it for Walt, and that is it for Glennon, and that is it for, well, Taylor's going to be fun, and the Diddy trial is going to be fun. And we are right now working on our Friday show for you. We are going to be back here with guns blazing and teeth bared. So we cannot wait to see you all back here on Friday at The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next.